Welcome back. In today's episode, we have part 2 of the interview with Luke Tyburski. He explains the one thing you'll need that can stop you from giving up. Stay tuned.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. So tell us some of the bad advice that you've received. You didn't know it was bad advice at the time, and you took it only to find out that that was not a good idea.
Actions speak louder than words. It's not on the premise of that, but if you don't think about your actions, so you're not internalizing those words, and you don't think about your actions, that's where you could get into trouble. And I think I've done a few things where I've not really thought about my actions, and things like I jumped on a plane I used to live in the US, and I jumped on a plane from the US to come over to the UK for a soccer trial. I went over to the UK, like from where I was living, and there was no soccer trial. I just believed them. I believed their words. I guess that's not really actions speak louder than words, but it was, I believed someone that I thought I could trust. And the bad advice that, I'll take care of you was, and I thought, I trust this person, and it really wasn't. And I thought they had my best interest at heart. So, I think you've got to do the research yourself, and you can't take others' words and advice as gospel, so to speak. So I think you've got to do your own research as well. Because I jumped on a plane from one country, one continent to another for something that I thought was there, and I got over there and it wasn't and I was left stranded. Yeah.
What's one of your biggest weaknesses?
Single-mindedness. I get an idea in my head and just go for it. And sometimes I get too far down the road and think, wow, I didn't really think this through. And then I've either got to backtrack, or I've got to stop it and pull the pin, or I've got to try and make it work. And maybe I don't achieve the results that it deserved with that idea or that thought or that challenge because I didn't actually do the foundation work. So I'm learning, and I'm getting a lot better than I used to, but I'm just really focusing on not just sort of being so single-minded and get this idea and run with it, and to try and be a little bit thinking in a broader sense of how it will affect my life, how it will affect others, and will it be sustainable if I try and go down this road with this thought or this action.
It's so interesting that you said that, because I'm sure that's one of your biggest strengths as well. If you want to accomplish something, you need that single-mindedness and focus, that laser-sharp focus. So it's interesting how every weakness has a strength, and every strength has a weakness, and they're connected.
I totally agree. You just have to understand when you have to go forward or when you have to go back, in terms of understanding why you're trying to go forward, or if, vice versa. So it's very important to, I think, just really know why you're doing the action.
Yeah, I mean, great point. I mean, there's a difference between succeeding or accomplishing something and then being fulfilled. And sometimes you can get on a single focus, accomplish your goal, and then get there and go, wait a second, this is really what I wanted. What was the expense of me getting here? So absolutely, I can see your point.
Yeah, I agree with myself.
I'm always talking with my clients about energy. It's got to be the foundation of everything that you do. You could have a great idea, you can have all the tools, you can have a team, but if you don't have the energy to show up every day to execute at the highest level, you're not going to be able to do everything that you need to do. How do you keep and increase your energy, either through nutrition, food, meditation? What are some of your techniques?
I think there's so many different types of energies really out there, isn't there? And I'm a big believer in the different forces of energy, and it can be a physical thing where if I go for a 10-hour cycle, I can't expect myself to sit on a laptop and write emails or do a productive afternoons of work. So I've got to rest because I've expended so much energy. But I do like to try and think about when I wake up in the morning. So as you just said, like, you need this energy to be able to achieve, to perform on a high level. Now, something that I am working on a lot, and concept that I'm thinking about is, what if you wake up, okay, as an athlete, or even as a person who is an entrepreneur, or just a businessman, or just someone who just wakes up and they've got a big day ahead. They got 10 things to do, really important. They need this to do to move them forward. But they've had a really crappy night's sleep because they had an argument with their partner, or they've got a baby that kept them awake, or they're thinking about what they're doing the next day and have a really crappy sleep. And they wake up and they've got a sore stomach. They've got something wrong with them, and they feel really trashed. What do? Do you forge through and like, no, I've just got to get it. I get it done. I've got to find some energy from somewhere. But if you say you feel like a 4 out of 10, I will say take the priorities of that day and make sure that you work 100% of that 4 out of 10 for that day. So when you feel like a 10 out of 10, you make sure you work 100% of 10 out of 10. If you only feel a 2 out of 10, you only aim to do 2 out of 10, so to speak, but you make sure you give 100% of your energy for that 2 out of 10. Now, to answer your question in terms of energy-wise, I feel playing a longer game to achieve more, to be more productive, not just busy, which is what we're all trying to achieve, I feel, is your energy will level out better, because if you're really struggling on a day and you try and push it, you're going to dig deeper into your reserves, and it's really difficult to get out of those reserves without taking a long extended break. So that's why I say playing the long game. So if you feel a bit flat one day, do what's necessary. Don't try and overachieve. If you're only feeling like a 4 out of 10 day, just make sure you hit that 4 out of 10. Now, people ask, well, what about if you just really need to get that 10 out of 10 day out of the way that day because you've got different meetings in this? And I say, well, to go on to another point, is that's where you need to have a tribe or a community or in a culture, or being a culture that can help you with this. So if you're really struggling, you make sure you get your 4 out of 10 done, but then you talk to those people around you and you use their energy to help you move forward. So they might only be able to do just a little bit for you, and someone else can do a little bit for you. But overall, you've ended up being productive on that day. You've not reached into your reserves and overspend the energy or the lack of energy that you had. But because you've got this tribe and this community within a culture around you, then in the longer term, you will achieve your targets, you'll move forward, but at the same time, your health, wellness, and well-being will be in its whole form that it possibly could be.
Let's talk about the food for a second. So many people, especially here in the United States, are kind of living off of sugars and carbs and just burning that as a fuel, which, of course, we know as an endurance racer, you could never, sustain that. Mm-hmm. How do you create an environment where your body is burning fat, along with, of course, the carbs and the sugars? How do you create the body to do that? How do you train your body to do that?
Eat more fat and less carbs. It's literally that simple.
Now let's be clear for the listeners. When you say fats, give them some examples of the fats that you're referring to.
Seeds, nuts, avocados, coconut products, olive oil, things like this, oily fish, this type of stuff. So there's a lot of science behind it. I've done a lot of research. I have an exercise science background. I've been an athlete my entire life, and I use my body as a science experiment, always with food and with training, always. And so I learned quite a lot. And I try and find, whatever I find anecdotal information about myself and what I've achieved, I try and find some research that's been done to back that up, my thoughts. So quite literally, I fueled myself in the desert race, the Marathon des Sables, on the energy gels and the sugary energy bars and this and that. And I only took 2,200 calories per day worth of food because I had to carry it all. And my body needed more than that just to function, let alone running near marathon every day. So that made me think, well, there has to be a better source, because I lost a lot of weight and my energy felt okay. But I thought, if I only have to eat this little amount, there's got to be a better, more nutrient-dense source that I can eat, but it can sustain me for a longer period of time. So I did some research, found that fat can really help you going long and steady for a long period of time, because if you take a lot of carbohydrates out, you still need some to function for your organs, for your brain, sure, and that. But we can get that through vegetables. We can get that through there's carbohydrates in seeds and nuts and things like this, and not just the starchy grains and the sugars and things like this. We don't need to eat those because we get enough carbohydrates for our bodies from other things. And I started eating a lot higher fat diet than what the Western world would deem as normal. But I realized that I could go for a very long time eating this fat. And it was like amazing because I love all the foods that I was eating. I was experimenting with them at all. And I wasn't having to try and smash down after a big run like a huge bowl of pasta where I just felt bloated and horrible. I would come and, I'd have a couple of avocados mashed up with some seeds and nuts and a salad with loads of fresh veggies, maybe something like some smoked salmon or something like this. And that would be my meal. And that was like perfect. So I just experimented with how many carbohydrates I needed to feel like my recovery was spot on, and also that I could sustain my performance when I was training 20 to 30 hours a week for some of my endurance challenges. And then I got it down to sort of a rough number, and now I don't really count it at all. I just sort of roughly know how I feel. But people see how much fat I eat, and I talk about eating fat, and I'm really, really skinny. And they go, yeah, but you do loads of exercise. And I tell them right now, I've not trained in 10 months, and I'm as lean as I was when I started my big challenges. And then I show them what they eat, and they go, well, I don't understand. It's just because we've been brainwashed for all these marketing companies from the grains and the breads and the cereals and this and that we have to eat this to survive. We don't, but we just have to do a little self-discovery and a bit of our own research with ourselves. But that's how I eat every day, and that's how I eat during my challenges.
Yeah, our ancestors did not have Kellogg's to sustain themselves in the caves.
Not at all.
It's interesting. I start my morning with steamed broccoli, and I put Udo's oil on it. It's essentially a 369 essential oil, and then some salt. Someone turned me on to salt, sea salt. I use pink sea salt. And as soon as I have it, my body is just like, it just wakes up. It's like, feels like you're turning on the computer in the morning. Literally, just the whole system comes alive. And it was really interesting to find that by adding the fats, and for some reason, do you have any reason, or do you know why the salt affects that? Do you have a background in that?
Having the oil and the broccoli and the salt that makes you feel awake. There could be numerous reasons. Like it could be, I'm sure you do, but you may not drink enough water through the back end of the day before, or you may lose a lot of, you might sweat a lot when you sleep, but not like drenching the sheets, but the sheets, but you just might use a lot of your liquid. So
I do. Yeah. It's funny. I do sweat a bunch at night.
So it could be your body just stabilizing your electrolytes with that salt. So it's like, okay, I'm getting closer to homeostasis now as soon as you had that salt, because I need that after a night of sweating a little bit. It could be that. It could be 10 other things. But
okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious. It was funny. Someone turned me on. He's a fitness guru off on the West Coast. And he's like, man, you got to be adding some salt in after your workouts. And I was like, salt? Really? He's like, just try it. See how you feel. I'm like, wow. That's the whole thing. Just listening to your body. And when your body goes, wow, that feels really good. It's like, okay, there might be something here.
Yeah. If it feels bad, don't do it again.
Exactly. Now, that does not apply to cupcakes and ice cream, though. That's a dopamine thing. What have you been afraid to try? I don't even know if you can even answer that question after doing what you've done.
These days, not a whole lot. I'll give anything a go. When I was younger, before, it's quite literally, just thinking of this now, before the age of 15, when I got this massive injection of this confidence from my coach, Judgy, after that soccer trial, and I got picked for that team. Before that, I wasn't an overly confident kid. So, but at the same time, I didn't really fall into peer pressure. All my friends were, jumping off bridges into rivers and this and that, whatever. And I was always the last one to do it, or I wouldn't do it. So I think I was afraid of doing like high risk things. High risk is what you do as a kid. So I think that being in risky situations for my health. When I was younger was definitely something that I was afraid to try. But these days, I don't think there's anything I'm afraid to try, but I will assess every situation. If someone says to me, oh, we're going to take you to the moon and you're going to jump off, Not that I'm afraid of it. I think it's stupid and it can't be done or whatever, but I'll assess it. But being afraid of it, I can't really think of anything, mate.
The words that follow "I am" state who you are. How do you feel in that phrase, "I am"?
I am Luke, period.
And who is Luke?
Luke is someone who lives life daily and leaves a trail of inspiration behind him.
Beautiful.
And that's what I think of each day, and that's why I get out of bed, because I want to live life every day. And obviously there's loads of threads that fall behind that and fall under that. And then also with what I do now with my endurance challenges, which is my vehicle to inspire others to dream big and get out of their comfort zone, is I want to, I'm sure there'll be listeners, and I'm sure you'll walk away and go, wow, that guy's so inspiring, I'm really inspired. That's cool. To inspire someone is easy. We do it every day.
Yeah.
You look on Facebook for 5 minutes and you'll get inspired by some photo. But it's acting on that inspiration where the magic happens. So I don't want to just try and push my inspiration on people. I want to leave a trail behind me. And then if people want to pick up a few of those little inspirational nuggets, or people want to go down that trail and make their own path off that, then that's what I'm all about. I just want to sort of have that glowing light in the distance where it's like, oh, I could go down the normal path, which to my right, but to the left, there's just a little light over there. Maybe I'm intrigued. And if I can get a couple of people to follow that trail of inspiration that I lead from living my life daily, then, that's what I'm all about.
What are some of the core beliefs that support you?
I think it goes back to my parents installing, be kind, be true to yourself, be kind to others. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all, which is being kind to others as well. And be true to yourself is a big one, really. I think about that on a daily basis, and knowing why you do something. So someone said to me about 6 months ago, "Oh, when are you going to swim the English Channel?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" Because you'll probably swim the English Channel now. That's a big challenge, and a lot of people do it. And it's like, I got no interest in swimming the English Channel. Could I do it? Yes, I'd have to do the training, but mentally and physically, I have no doubt I could swim the English Channel. But I don't have a reason to. I don't have a why. And if you don't have a why, what you're doing can be in anything, can be even just that day of why you're doing something. I feel that when the time gets tough and when you really have to dig deep and when things start going wrong, you'll stop, you'll give up, you'll quit. And I came up with a quote that just randomly popped into my head when I was just doing a bit of reflection one day. It's, clarity is the eternal energy that fuels your dreams. So if you don't have clarity in your vision, your why, then when it gets tough, you'll give up. But if you do have clarity in your vision and you do know your why and the reasons behind that are strong, then it's the eternal energy that will fuel you to keep going, to chase whatever it is you're chasing, going after it. And so knowing your why is a big thing of making sure I keep myself honest and, with whatever projects I do now.
Yeah, clarity is so important. If you're not clear on things, that's when you stand in the middle of the road and go, which way should I go? I know I want to go to, this, but which do I go left? Do I go right? Do I go backwards? Do I go forwards? So important to have the clarity. And so many people lack that clarity.
Yeah, I totally agree. They're like, I want to go forward. Well, okay, what does that mean? What does that look like? Why are you trying to do that?
Yep.
And if someone says to you, I want to go forward in my business because I feel like the demand is higher than, for whatever, they're giving their reasons, and this is how I'm going to do it, and this is why I want to do it, because I want to support my family, because I want to provide jobs for other people, and this and that. Like, that's clarity in why you want to go forward. But someone just says, I want to move forward in my life. They're like, okay.
So much that I talk about it in my work is so many people are interested, very few are committed. You are actually committed. How did you get to that level, and how would you help someone else get to that level to shift from interested to committed?
I think it goes back to the why. You have to be able to know the real reasons you're doing what you want to do and what you're trying to get out of it. So knowing your why and being able to reflect on when you start your journey, because people are interested, and then, say, for instance, teenagers, they want to be professional athletes and they're interested and they think they're committed. But when it comes to Friday and Saturday night and they're going out to, their friends are going out to parties or things like this, the ones who are committed, they won't be going out. They'll be staying out of trouble. They'll be going to bed early, getting up the next day and training. They'll be making those sacrifices. And they're the ones who are committed. The ones that are just interested, when it's after school on a Thursday at 5 o'clock and they're down at the court shooting some hoops with their buddies, they're the ones that are interested. Yeah. But the guys who are committed, they've already done 3 hours that morning before school, and then they'll go out that afternoon and shoot hoops with their friends, and their friends will be like, damn, like where did that jumper come from? 6 months ago you couldn't even hit that. Now you're hitting 10 out of 10. It's like, well, what's going on with you? And that's the difference between the two sort of parties who are interested and committed, I think.
Yeah, I always make exception to people that say, you can have everything. You can have absolutely everything. I'm the first one to call BS on that. You can have anything, but you got to make choices in life. And
you have to sacrifice something.
You've got to sacrifice something. That's absolutely right. You can't eat everything that you want to eat and, shovel down a gallon of ice cream and expect to have a six-pack. It's not going to work. You can't have everything.
Exactly.
You can pick.
And the phrase, exactly. And the phrase that people say, if you work hard, then you can achieve anything. I don't agree with that either.
I don't agree with that either.
And something that my parents said to me when we were younger, if you work hard, that'll give you the best possible opportunity to succeed. So you're doing everything you can in your power. So you're working your backside off. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it. If you want to own a house and you work every day, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, you work so hard your entire life, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to buy a house. There's other factors there, but it means that it's going to give you the best possible chance for you to succeed in that goal. And in reality, that's all you can do, because when there's external factors involved with trying to achieve something or trying to live our lives, which there always is, then we can't control those. So we have to focus on the things that we can control, and that's working hard to give ourselves the best possible opportunity to succeed.
Yeah, hard work is absolutely a piece of it, but work hard at something in the wrong direction. Learn how to play golf without a coach and go down to the driving range every day and work hard. What you're going to do is you're going to instill through those habits maybe some really bad technique.
Mm-hmm.
Just working harder at it's not going to give you a great golf swing. So you've got to have the right technique as well. So important. Every peak performer that has ever lived or will live does one thing extremely well. They know how to take their ideas and execute on them. Ideas and knowledge are not power, but the ability to execute on them, that is real power. If you consider yourself a peak performer and really want to take your game to the next level and truly master the science of execution, I would like to send you some information about our upcoming event, Business Execution Summit. Simply take your phone and text the word BE Summit, one word, to 41411. And I'll send you some additional information on how to master the most important skill you will ever acquire for your life or your business. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day. That concludes part 2 of our interview with Luke Tyburski. Please tune in later this week for the conclusion, part 3.